Hey everyone, my name's Billy Carando and welcome to the final day of JavaOne. So for this final live stream and the keynote, it's going to be all about you, the community. And I'm very happy to have one of my good friends here, Vincent, who is one of the great stalwarts within our community. So with that said, let's go ahead and kind of get started because Vince, you do so much. You help with DevNexus, one of the greatest Java community conferences in the world and definitely in the United States. And you also help out with the Atlanta Jug. And also you have a really great talk. I think one of the first things we're going to start on is 3 Cups of Java on how you can actually kind of get started to be more active in the Java community. So if you want to kind of go.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having me on here, but
Yeah,
it's great to be back at JavaOne.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the first time I was ever at JavaOne, because I'm a newbie technically, was probably 2015, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But yes, so yesterday my talk, 3 Cups of Java. The title comes from a book called 3 Cups of Tea by a guy called Greg Mortensen, who was a climber. And there's a whole backstory to that. But fundamentally, the whole premise of the talk is around this quote from the book where in Pashtun culture, that the first cup of tea you have with someone, you're a stranger. The second cup of tea you have with someone, you're a friend. And the third cup of tea you have with someone, you're family. Yeah. So it's basically about the progression of your relationship with another person over time. And in the context of this, it's over cups of tea.
Yeah.
Okay. So I use it to illustrate the fact that when you meet new people and you're in an environment where everyone's passionate about the same subject, and for us, it's all Java, over time, your relationship with that person changes. And by your third interaction, it's diametrically different to your first interaction.
Yeah.
And at that point, you start to become friendlier, more like family, more like community.
Yeah. No, and that is a very important thing. And on that, so Vince, you help with running the Atlanta Java Users Group. I help with running the Kansas City Java Users Group, and we have Java user groups all around the world. And if you go to dev.java community, we have actually a place where you can find your local Jug, because actually that's one of the best places to start getting involved in the Java community is attending your Jug. It's, again, I think as we both, particularly in the US, Jug leaders can say, it's like one of the best things you can do is like just show up.
It is. And certainly, in my case, my relationship with Java really started when I joined or started attending the local Atlanta Java Users Group Jug in 2004. Yeah. Now, I was aware of Java before that. I'm not a software engineer. I just play one on TV. That's a whole other story. But then I wanted to learn more about the language and platform. I wanted to be to meet new people.
Yeah.
I wanted to become part of the community, and just staying involved in that community over the years led me from being a kind of like a non-technical business guy to having a career within technology and working with tech companies and being nominated as a Java champion and getting involved in all the things I'm involved in just by showing up at the Jug consistently.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's exactly the same way I started. I started regularly attending or just started going as a normal attendee to my local Java users group, and, progressively went there for years, met some really good friends. In fact, some of those good friends, I mean, that started like 2012 or something like that. And probably next week here, we'll be meeting for our monthly happy hour. But yeah, I mean, that's how it got started. I regularly attended. Then I started helping out. Then I started trying to present. My first presentations did not go well. So don't let, if like you have like a bad presentation, don't let that completely hold over, try again. So, but yeah, and that's also a great place to start, because that's one of the things I love about you guys is you also actively try to build up the community and do like lightning talks, because I think that every time I go there to the Atlanta Java Users Group, you have some people that are actively reaching out to mentor on lightning talks, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have a whole kind of grooming speakers program. And it starts with, and we have meetings with people that want to present lightning talks and training. And it's a good way to start if people want to be public, present publicly. And we're not all great public speakers. I'm certainly not. I'm less nervous at it now than I was when I first did it, I guess. But we do some training. We have people present a lightning talk. And then actually in our jug, we have a program where we'll choose the kind of, I don't want to say the best one, because it's not about the best one. But someone will then progress from that to giving a full conference talk at DevNexus. And we can't do it with everyone that does lightning talks because we do it every month. But people have spoken on the main stage at DevNexus because they've presented a lightning talk at the jug first. And then maybe a session talk, longer presentation, and then we've asked them to present it at the conference. That the following year or that year or whatever. So it's a great way to kind of groom speakers. And I've seen people over the years that have come to that user group and other meetups that I run for web development stuff and done their first presentation, and then gone on to speak at a local conference, and then at another conference somewhere else in the country. And then fast forward 3 or 4 years, and they're invited to Keynote internationally. Now, if the audience thinks about how do I get on the main stage at these conferences? Well, this is how you start. You start with going to your local user group, or if you're in another area of technology, whether it's Python, web, whatever, you go to the local meetup. And you show up, and then you ask the organizers if you can talk, and you start that way. And the interesting thing about speaking is people think, oh, well, if they haven't done it before, I shouldn't be here. They have this whole imposter syndrome thing. And I don't think, it's hard to get over initially, but things to bear in mind are that if you're speaking at a conference, if you get over the fact that you're never going to be the smartest person in the room. Okay. So get over that because you're not. And also get over the fact that you never have to affect everybody in the room. If you positively affected one person in the audience, then your job is done as a speaker. I think more than that, great. But it's more about being knowledgeable and passionate about the subject that you're speaking about, and then being the expert, if you will. And you are unique. Okay, you're a unique person with unique life experiences and so on. So your knowledge, your passion, and your uniqueness is what's going to carry the talk. So you don't have to be this kind of special expert person to get on stage. Just be passionate about it and knowledgeable and take the first step.
And I think that is a really important point. Is I think there can be a perspective that, and certainly that's one I had, is and maybe a little bit in my role, that is also where I do need to be a bit more of an expert, where I'm more talking about a leading edge of a technology. But a lot of times, especially for users groups, it's not necessarily about talking about JDK 24 or talking about like some future thing coming to Java. It can be just about how your organization is trying to address very commonplace problems. Because like so often that is the case, is that, I was actually very excited. We actually, Nicolai and I ran into someone who is already pushing or running JDK 24 in production. And that was really cool. But the vast majority of organizations aren't on JDK 24 yet. I'm happy to see many more on JDK 21 and 17, but there's a lot of organizations that are still out there on Java 8, where you're not always necessarily on that bleeding edge, but it can be very helpful. It's like, okay, how did our organization actually work on getting upgrading, or how does our organization just work on getting to production more frequently and stuff like that. And just having those meat and potatoes talks you can almost talk about can be very helpful. It doesn't have to be necessarily some bleeding edge thing. It can be very just everyday kind of things. How we're working with Maven, or how we are doing unit testing or automated testing. It doesn't necessarily have to be super advanced. But also you were mentioning your 3 cups of Java, and when you were talking about earlier, I think that element of threes. So like, you know, getting started doing like a lightning talk or talk at a users group, then doing a talk, a session talk at, you know, a local conference in your area or just any conference, you know, then that can get you to that next level. It's like, it's a bit of threes. You're not going to be able to jump in and necessarily give that's extremely rare, going to be giving a keynote as your first opportunity to speak. Oftentimes you have to have a bit of that progression up there. And that takes time, but yeah. I
like what you said about the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a user group leader and a conference organizer, we always want to balance this because all too often people think, let's do talk on all the bleeding edge stuff, like Java 24 in this instance, or something AI related, which everyone's interested in right now, of course.
Yeah.
However, when we run DevNexus, and when we run the user group, we want to balance the fundamentals with the new, if you will. So you're right. There's plenty of people that are still working on Java 9. There are people working on Java 8. There are people working on Java 6.
Yes. I also ran
people at conferences. And, you know, who's working on Java 6? And some hands go up. Okay. But aside from the ins and outs of the language and platform, people need to be reminded of the importance of, you know, hey, this is how you do unit testing. Have you thought about design patterns and things like that recently? And going back to talking about speaking at conferences and feeling like an imposter and affecting that one person, more often than not, that aha moment that one person had at your talk, just in this example, is probably not going to be about something new, a new concept that you've talked about. It's going to be about the importance of something fundamental that you've reminded them about, and they're like, yes, that I need to do more of that. And you've just explained, or just remind me how important it is, and I'm going to go back, and that changes their life more than learning about something new, because it makes them more productive, which will make them happier, and so on and so on.
No, I think that's also a good point, because it does also remind me of so Matthias Carlson, he runs JFocus, and a few years back, I gave a presentation there, and it did not go well. It unfortunately didn't quite come together as I was hoping it would, and that's just sometimes how it happens. And yeah, that was probably one of the worst presentations, as at least a professional speaker, I gave. But to the point of connecting with someone is that even though I felt very, very down after doing that presentation, there was a couple of people who actually later came up to me and were like one of them was just actually, I was talking about how like you can set up like Maven, doing something with that. And like, it was very helpful, like, oh, wow, that's actually something that's very useful. So like, again, sometimes, and it wasn't like particularly the main point of the presentation, but that, you know, sometimes about that connecting with just one person can be very helpful. And yeah, again, it's not always about being the bleeding edge. And then that's also the same thing. So along with helping with running KC Jug, I also help with my local conference, Kansas City Developers Conference. And one of the things we're about to do right now is start doing talk selection. And that's also about finding that balance. Like, you know, we do want to talk a little bit about like Java and AI. So like we're a polyglot conference. So like we do like Java, .NET, Python, JavaScript, all this stuff. But yeah, it's a bit balancing. It's like, okay, we want a little bit of like the advanced, but we also want to kind of keep it to where like the current state of the industry is, because, you know, if it's all the most advanced stuff, then, you know, a lot of people won't come.
Yeah. Well, also, if I'm a development manager and I've got a team of people going, yes, I want them to try and understand what's happening next. But I also want them to get better at their job. You know, I'm sending them to this conference. They may be traveling locally, they may be traveling you know, to another state, they may be traveling internationally. There needs to be some ROI for me to have people AFK for, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe a week, 5 days, you know, a week. So what are they going to get out of it? If say I'm migrating from Java this to Java that, what are you going to learn? Let's look at the program. Who can you talk to, etc. about that at the conference? Or, you know, our team's thinking about doing something that's AI enabled. Is there something there that you can attend and come back with notes, etc.? So if I'm, and the majority of people that come to these things, they are sent by their organizations. And again, you know, if I'm their manager, just putting their manager's shoes, I want to understand. Yes, I want them to go learn and just generally educate themselves, but where's the ROI for me as well to send them? And let's hopefully they'll come back and inform the rest of us about what they've learned.
Yeah. And I mean, that's even the case, what I see with attendees, like I think a lot of attendees, they also want a little bit of that because like we were running, myself and Jose Palmar, we're running a couple of hands-on labs and we're focusing on some of the newer features coming out. So a lot of the stuff with like Amber and pattern matching. So Nicolai kind of talked about that yesterday during our live stream. And also we're doing another one on Loom with structured concurrency. And like, so some people are coming, they're wanting to see like the future of what's maybe going to be coming to Java in a few years, even if maybe some of them are in Java 8 or Java 7 or JDK 17. But they want to see what's coming out. But they also want to then balance that with like also attending a session that's a bit more near term to what they're kind of working on as well. So it's not just, the ROI for the business, but I think also attendees are going to be practical as well about wanting some ROI that, if it's going to be like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I'm not going to use it for 5 years, that if that's the entire conference, that might be a bit depressing for them. But, so they're going to want to have some things.
Well, I know of conferences that are like that, where all the talks are, this is really cool, but there's really no practical current use case or major use case for it now, and that can easily be implemented. And people will go to those talks, and they'll go to that conference, and they'll be interested and entertained by those talks. But they won't go back to the conference because there's nothing else there. So as an organizer, I'm very well aware of the sustainability of these things. And if we only had those new shiny objects, people would come for that. But if it was that every year, would they necessarily come back? You'd get a different crowd that would come back.
Exactly.
Okay? Some of the same people will come back, but you'll get a different crowd that comes back year on year. And that's not necessarily healthy for a conference organizer anyway.
Yeah. But, that's also reminding me about really one of the most valuable parts about going to a conference in a user group. The talks are great. It's the hallway track.
The hallway track.
Because that is, I think that is, again, one of the biggest benefits I think I've gotten from going to a users group is, as I kind of mentioned earlier, like I've made some real long-lasting friendships. Again, some people that, I regularly still see even outside of going to users groups. But it's been very helpful because, I worked at my first organization for 7 years, and you kind of just get, and that was my first job as a professional developer. And so it's like, oh, this is the way everyone does it. And like you realize, wait, this doesn't seem right, but you just don't know. And it's really great when you get a chance to like talk to other people, be like, wait, do you do this way, to like either no, and to like, this is like the way to do it, or yes, it's like, okay, well, right, we're not completely off base here. So that is a very beneficial thing. And
so for those that are not familiar, the hallway track, because when you go to a conference like this one, like JavaOne, there's several sessions going on at the same time, each in it's a different track. Other conferences there'll be one a track on architecture, one track on AI, one track on Java language, maybe one track on Java platform, with all the relevant talks in there. The hallway track is the conversations between the sessions with someone that you just met over coffee, over lunch, standing next to, trying to get into a talk, maybe at the bar after, at the conference reception. And all right, not everyone is naturally the person that will strike up a conversation with someone random. Okay, but I would encourage you to try, because we're all nerdy geeks, right? So inevitably your real world use case or something you're working on will come up in conversation, and the person you're speaking to may or may not have solved that, but they're going to have a perspective on it, which you don't have. Something that you haven't thought of. And you go, oh, like you said, I hadn't thought of it that way. And that can be as valuable as going to any of the conference talks and learning something new about whatever.
Yeah, no, it is. And this is a bit comparatively dated now, but I do kind of remember first, like when I was getting into like automated testing, and like one of the most difficult things is like working with data on that. And so at the time, like we were going against like our QA or data development database, and the issue is like, okay, if you make an update there, it changes something, and then you have to figure out how to like roll that back and all that stuff. And I remember a distinct conversation at the time with someone also going to the Kansas City Java users group about like, oh, using H2 databases to like test locally. Now that's a bit dated. You should use a tool like test containers, because that can actually more better simulate your database. But it's a very useful conversation because like the talk that night wasn't about that. It was just I was talking with a fellow attendee, and it's also great for networking because our industry usually tech has been a little more insulated from the economy, but it hasn't been as great over the past couple of years. And it's a great way to, particularly user groups, because that's going to be your local area, being able to connect with people. Because then that way you're not just a LinkedIn profile or not just a resume, but you will actually have like, oh wow, yeah, I saw Vince. Like he's a good guy. Like we shared a lot of interesting. Yeah, exactly. Okay, you don't get too confident, but it's a good way where you can actually have conversations with people and build out at least a bit of reputation. And then if things don't go well with your current organization, that way you can actually have some connections that aren't also all within your organization, because that can be also an issue if you worked at one place your entire life or for a number of years, and then maybe your entire team gets let go. It's like now all of a sudden your professional contacts or people you can reach out to who have a good idea of what you actually do at work are also looking for a job, and that can then make it much more difficult to find that next opportunity. Or even if you're not, just a good opportunity comes up. So
you can meet someone who's your next hire, or your next employer.
Because actually, I think the person I talked to about that H2 issue, I think I later recommended her for a role at that organization I was with. So like it is a very important networking effect, and I mean, really going to like Casey Jug all those years ago is a big part that led me to this current position, meeting people like yourself.
Myself included. One of the examples I give when I do that talk is when Quarkus came out, 2019, 17, one of those.
Something like that. I do kind of,
so Burr Sutter from Red Hat came to do a talk on Quarkus. And and at the Jug, a Java user group that is. And anyway, some months later, at another Jug meeting, maybe 6 months later, I was talking to one of the regulars, and she shared that she had just changed jobs. And we're chatting about that. I was like, congratulations. And then she shared with me that when she went to the interview, she was talking to she's doing the interview, and the interviewer asked her if she knew anything about Quarkus. It wasn't part of the required stack for the job, but maybe they were thinking of implementing. I don't know. And she said, she shared with me that she said, I haven't used it, but I was at a Java user group meeting like 6 months ago, and we talked about Quarkus, and I think it's great for this reason and for that reason, and potential use case here, there, or whatever. And then the interviewer, when she got the job, shared with her that that was one of the main reasons that she got off the position, not because she knew about Quarkus, but she had a perspective. Okay. And it's so easy to not have a perspective. Well, you can read online and pay attention. If you're paying attention to the technical generally, you can find these things out and stay current. But because this lady had attended a user group meeting, she had a more of an in-depth understanding and could talk more eloquently about that tool. And it made a difference. It was one of the things that made the difference. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen from attending conferences, user groups, networking with other people. And software engineers are not necessarily the most outgoing people in the world. As you know, you're definitely an outlier.
We're a bit outliers here, yes.
But everyone will recognize that it's not. And I'm not an engineer by nature, but that not necessarily the most outgoing people. So it is I think a little bit of not a struggle, but a commitment for someone to say, just turn to a stranger and say hi. But I definitely recommend it.
It like I said, it's very important. Another important thing we were mentioning, like one of the most important things when it is to attend your local user group. Another important thing is to maybe bring a friend or a colleague to our user group as well. Because again, like kind of building back those numbers up. It has been a bit of a struggle in this post-pandemic world to kind of get those numbers back up. But you guys seem to be doing pretty well. Usually when I go down there, it's 40 to 50, it seems like.
It takes time.
Very impressive.
And a lot of time the attendance numbers depends on a bunch of things. The time of year, because if it's close to the holidays, whatever, if it's raining.
Yeah, that can make a big difference.
And then obviously the speaker and the topic.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times, most people don't know that there's a Java user group or any other type of meetup group in their town. An example of that is I was at a conference a couple of years ago, JCon Europe. If you're in Germany, go to JCon in Cologne in May. It's an amazing conference. And the organizer's here, Richard Fickner. Hey, Richard. Anyway, I was at JCon and I was talking to this lady from Seattle, and she was there with a startup she was working at. But I was excited to talk to her because I was like, she's a senior engineer. She'd been in Seattle for like 15 years. She'd worked at Microsoft and Amazon and whoever else is in Seattle. So I was like, oh, hey, do you know Freddie? Freddie Gimme. And Freddie runs the C Jug. I said, Freddie, Freddie from C Jug, Seattle Jug. And she was like, oh, I didn't know he had a Java user group. And so often I see this, people just have no idea that there are these resources in their town they can go to for free and get fed most of the time if they're in person, and learn at. So again, I would encourage everyone listening to find a local jug or whatever technology that you're interested in, and go and connect with people.
And a little bit kind of also tying some of these themes together about both local Java communities and our just local technical communities, and also the hallway track. So the night before last, when we were having one of our post-event parties here, I actually ran into someone who is based in Albuquerque. And to my knowledge right now, Albuquerque doesn't have an active Java users group. But I also know another person from Albuquerque. Both of us do. Dano Hinojosa. Maybe he's watching right now. But I think at one point he was talking about wanting to get that jug going up again. So like this random attendee happened. So, this is a way to make these connections, and hopefully we can actually, I'll be able to help out in maybe getting that Albuquerque jug going again. It's again, those random connections, you can never actually predict them, but like that's the kind of the power of the community kind of coming together to kind of, lift each other up. But, again, we, like I said, on dev.java/community, we have a link to all the local Java users groups, and like there's over 300 or so, I think we have on there right now. And so the chances are there is one pretty close to you. And actually something that's going to be coming up here in the community keynote is a lot of other jug leaders are going to be kind of talking about that effort. But yeah, like I said, kind of some of that 3 cups of Java, that 3 steps part is like starting to go to your local user group, being a regular attendee, you can build out, get to know some other people. Maybe if you're interested, present at some point and kind of start to build out from there. Did you we have about 2 or 3 minutes until we're going to get started in the keynote. Did you have any kind of final things on?
So one of the most important things, well, I guess there's 2 things. Starting the Albuquerque Java user group. 2 people can get together and start this thing. And in my experience, again, I always say I know nothing. I just have a perspective. From my perspective, over the years, the health of a community effort, like a jug or a book club or a chess club or whatever it is, okay, where people gather and they do the same thing, always usually revolves around the efforts of 1 or 2 people. Always. Okay. So if those 1 or 2 people are intentionally consistent about that, it will grow and thrive. Okay. And then that goes back to, the attending these things and really, really benefiting from everything that they can offer in terms of learning and community and personal growth, etc. You have to be consistent about it. It doesn't do anything for you if you go once a year because they're talking about Valhalla and you like that. You should go all the time, okay, and become part of the community, be the community, not just go there because someone's talking about one thing that's relevant to you at that time.
No, absolutely. Consistently going up, because like, again, that's how you build it. Like, again, to the 3 cups of Java, it's like if you just have 1 cup of Java with someone, it's like, oh, okay, you met that person one time, you may remember seeing them again some other point, but you go 2, 3, 4 times, so you actually build real relationships, real friendships that can carry on both technically and out into the future. All right, so one. Or yeah. So yeah. But that's the thing. Yeah, be consistent, be intentional. I'm also very thankful for all my fellow Casey Jug organizers. I'm not going to be there for our meeting tonight. So, bye.
Please join me in welcoming Anna Maria Michalceanu and Shirat Chanda to the stage.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow.
How many people were at the party last night? Raise your hand if you were at the party.
Ooh.
All right.
Well done.
Last night was a lot of fun. We're also going to extend that fun today here in our community keynote. And that's an important word because Java is nothing without you. The community is the backbone of why Java has been so vibrant these past 30 years. And so we want to say welcome. Welcome to you here in the audience. Welcome to everyone that's watching on the live stream. Welcome to everyone around the globe that's made Java so empowered for our careers. And we're celebrating something kind of special this year, aren't we?
Yeah, I think this year Java is 30 years young.
30 years young, that's right. That's the right answer. I appreciate that. May 23rd is going to be an auspicious day, but we also want to begin that celebration of 30 years of Java here with all of you. And I think you have something special planned, don't you?
Yes, yes. So, folks, when you entered the room, probably you found on your seats an envelope with something in it. Shar, can you please exemplify? Yes, thank you. So each of these pillow boxes contains a few items. But what is important for you right now is to find the piece of paper and the pen and to write on it a phrase or a word with an expectation you have from Java in the next 10 years. We are going to store these thoughts of yours, these written thoughts of yours, in the time capsule, like you see it in the slide. It's going to wait you outside. There are going to be people that are going to ask you to drop that in the time capsule, and we're going to read them in 10 years.
Wait, they have to tell where Java's going to be in 10 years?
Their expectations.
Their expectations. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're not going to try and predict the future.
Their
wishes. Okay.
Their wish. It's more like a wish.
But I also saw something else in there to help with the inspiration.
Yes, yes, because we know this is very early in the morning, and yeah, we thought to give you a little boost with a little chocolate. So please use the chocolate thoughtfully to inspire you in writing something for the future of Java. And for those of you that are watching at home, the live stream, of course, we would like to engage you in this little activity as well. So please, if you could post on social media your expectation of the Java in 10 years. You can use the hashtag JavaTurns30 also, as you see in the slide. And yeah, that will be available to be seen right now, but also hopefully in the next 10 years. So use the social media platform of your choice to share that and to join all those thoughts together. So folks, go and express your wishes.
Wait, am I allowed to express wishes too?
Yes, of course.
So I want more cowbells.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I want more Java.
Okay.
Okay.
With the coffee?
With the coffee, that's right.
Okay. I was like, wow. What do you let that mean? Is there
So make sure you put your predictions, your aspirations, where you want Java to go in the next 10 years, because we will absolutely read all.
Yes.
Read all.
Yes, the community keynote.
In 10 years.
10 years from now, we're going to open that. We're going to read that. No, actually, probably we're going to make a movie with reading all that, and yeah. So,
thank you very much, Anna. Thank you for bringing this little special treat for everyone in the audience today. And we're looking forward to all of you putting your paper in the time capsule after today's keynote. Thank you, Anna. So this week already, starting on Monday, you've been immersed in a lot of technical information, a lot of information about how to drive your career forward, how to become more productive, utilizing both the language and the platform. But as we said, Java is nothing without community. And so today, we want to explore many of the dimensions about the experiences, the expertise, and the heartbeat of what makes Java so vibrant. And I couldn't think of a better way than to start with a very special episode of our Duke's Corner podcast, live on stage here at JavaOne. So give a round welcome to Jim Grisanzio from the Java Developer Relations team. Jim.
Whoa. Whoa, and welcome everybody. Welcome to Duke's Corner Live. So Duke's Corner is a podcast that I started on the Oracle Java Developer Relations team in 2022. So we're just running about 3 years. We got about 60 episodes in the can. And in some ways, it's a very traditional podcast. We talk about Java, obviously, the community, hackers, open source, things like this, a lot of education and learning. You know, Java developers have to keep up with everything and grow and things like that. So it's really cool in that respect, and it's very informational. There's no frills, there's no bumper music or anything like that. It's just conversations. But the most important thing for me is hearing the stories of Java developers. So sometimes you hear stories about, hey, I got to do X, Y, and Z. I have to learn this. I have to contribute to OpenJDK. What do I do? Things like that. But also you hear stories like, hey, Java saved my life. Java took me out of poverty. I'm now able to fund my, my college education or things like that. And these are the stories that really inspire me, and that's why I do the podcast. I'm really interested to hear the stories of developers, and through those stories, you learn about all the other things, Java, and Jugs, and OpenJDK, and everything else. But it's the profile, it's the story from the developer. So that's it. It's very simple. If you just search, for Duke's Corner, podcast, you'll find it, and love you to listen. And I've met a lot of developers here, obviously, so I'm excited to have some new programs in the coming year. But for the next, few minutes here, let's just run a little session. I got a couple of my colleagues here in the background here, so we'll bring out Kai Hortzman and Marit van Dijk and Lisa Reyes. We'll have a little session. Okay, welcome. So let's talk tech, let's talk community, and maybe get a little personal too. So Kai, lead us off with some tech here. So OpenJDK, Java 24, is out this week. And what's the most important thing that developers should pay attention to, or what's the most interesting thing in the latest releases to help them with productivity, or just to do something really, really cool?
Well, every release has a lot of things, and I think everyone is different in what they like. What I was most excited about was the developments that help you write small Java programs more easily, both to learn Java and also to use Java in the small. It's actually a fantastic language for smaller programs. The other thing that I personally liked were there were some things that make my programs run better or faster or with less memory with me doing either nothing at all or very little. The garbage collector is getting even better. I'm excited about seeing Project Leiden, where I can get my program to start up faster.
Cool. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm excited about the stream gatherers that were released in Java 24. As well as advances in, improvements in pattern matching. I really enjoyed Brian Getz's talk on Tuesday about where the language is going and to get a bit of context and see how the changes are actually like progression in a direction. I also really like that he mentioned that they're working on improving readability of the code. Mark Reinhold mentioned the same in the opening keynote. That's a topic dear to my heart because we read code more than we write code. So, anything that makes it easier to read, easier to understand, easier to work with is great.
Excellent.
I also like very much, as Kai said, what makes it easier to ramp up and onboard in Java. So these simple source files, we're dropping the static. That's the big thing. I also saw somebody give a talk about Jupyter Notebooks for Java, and that just helps people getting onboarded so fast. They say it's for people that are new to Java, but honestly, as a seasoned programmer, I also like it to just work faster. And the other thing I liked a lot, since I'm a collaborator on LangChain4j, which is working with AI in Java, we love this structured concurrency scoped values, which will make it much more easy to make agentic systems and to have this context for our LLMs. And of course, everything that's more efficient, memory efficient, GPU acceleration that may be coming with Project Babylon, Project Valhalla, Project Panama. So I'm really looking forward to these things.
Cool. Well, it seems that there's endless. It's just an endless list here of really cool things. So we got a lot of technology out there. We got a lot of really interesting things for developers to grab a hold of and do things with. But how can developers actually participate in this community? This is an open source community, after all.
Yeah, so there are many ways to be involved in the community. Obviously, you can get up on stage and speak, but not everybody feels comfortable doing that. You can write blog posts or create videos or share your knowledge in other ways. But if you're not comfortable doing that, you can be involved in your local jugs, you can help organize them, or even just attend and meet other people, share your experience, learn from and with each other.
Yeah, it may be a bit daunting for some developers to say, oh, I go on stage, oh, I write a blog even. And I just want to say there's something that you can do that's much lower threshold to help, and it is complain and give feedback. So in the opening keynote, Mark Reynolds, actually what he did was saying, we're doing complaint-driven evolution of the Java language. And I like that because they go, look, what are the pain points? And that's where you can help. Tell us the pain points for your open source project, for the OpenJDK, and we will make the language better for you and for everybody else.
Yeah, I'd like to echo both of those points. First of all, just to show up at a JUG meeting or anywhere. Showing up is great. When I give a presentation, I like to have people who are showing up. And the other thing is the complaint-driven development process has been working really well for Java. Java is very open. You can, there are multiple avenues for you to report your experiences with new features, say what you liked, and most importantly, what you didn't like. And there really are changes and improvements in the language that are based by programmer input.
Excellent. So there's many ways to contribute. You can even do a podcast, just like we're doing here, too. So one of the things I actually talk to a lot of developers about is what Java means, to you in your heart, essentially. So do you have any thoughts about, what Java means to you? It could be the technology, some people like hacking, or it could be just the community or anything like that.
Well, I guess I'm a bit in a special situation because I was with Java from the very beginning. Before Java came out, my co-author, Gary Cornell, gave me a call and said, Kai, we're going to write a Java book. Neither of us knew anything about Java, so we had to learn it really fast, and no one else knew anything about it either. But there we were when JavaOne was released with a stack of books. And ever since, I've been working with Java. I've really enjoyed interacting with the people that make Java happen, that make it better, and to learn more about it and to teach with it. One of my best experiences, I thought, was when we were able to move the AP computer science exam from C++ to Java.
Cool. Yeah, I first learned Java in university, not quite from the beginning. I learned Java 1.2. We won't do the math on how long ago that was. And then I did a bunch of other jobs in IT and had to relearn Java, which was Java 8 at the time, which was much improved from what I remembered from university. And I actually relearned Java by reading books by Gene Boyarsky and Scott Selikoff for the OCA, OCP guides, as well as a book by Mala Gupta, who is now my colleague and teammate. So yeah, that worked out really well for me. I really like how she explains Java concepts really well. And it's been part of my career ever since.
Beautiful.
That's a really exciting trajectory. For me, I can sadly not say that I was with Java from the beginning because I was 5 years old. But I actually came in from the side. I studied electronics engineering. So at the beginning, when I started as a regular Java developer, it was hard for me. And Java was mainly the way where I could not do what I wanted. But I got better, I learned it, and now Java is really a way for me to change my ideas into something tangible in the real world. And then I started contributing, and now it brought me here on stage, so it's been really become a huge love story by now.
Excellent. Okay, we just have a minute and a half left here, so let's wrap up by talking about this conference here this week. It's been a blistering week. It's a lot of happy faces. Everyone's been really cool. For us on the team who are organizing this, we're all tired and exhausted, but it's been really a beautiful experience. I'm wondering if you have any impressions about this week.
Well, I'm very glad that JavaOne has been back and that the hallway track is as good as it always was. I've learned so much.
Yeah, it's been really good attending talks by people who actually work on the language and getting a lot of context on why changes are made, but the most important part is the people, seeing everyone here.
I also found it really exciting to hear from the architects themselves, where they are evolving, what they just built, show their own demos. And one talk stuck with me. That was the talk about somebody at Jefferson Lab, where they do nuclear physics in a particle accelerator. They started using AI instead of analytical methods to fix this, using a Java framework, DeepNets, which you can just download. It's free for individual use, so I just did that yesterday. They managed to speed up this analytics from needing many CPUs and all data center to get it on one laptop, 5,000 times more efficient to track these collision paths by AI. I'm getting really excited from these real-world use cases that we can do with Java.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining me. And that's just a little snip of Duke's Corner. And we did it live here. And next up at the show here is my colleague David Delabase to talk about the Quality Outreach Program. And that's it. Thank you, and have a good rest of the show. Cheers.
The vast number of open source projects, their richness, is one key pillar that contributed to make what Java and the Java community is today. So there is Java at the center of the universe. There's OpenJDK, and there are hundreds of thousands of open source projects gravitating around that center of the universe. And then each project have their own communities, either communities of users and or developers. And if you think about it, there's not a single developer who has never used a Java open source project. Obviously, there's OpenJDK, but there's Maven, there's Gradle, there's IDE, there's Apache Tomcat, Spring, Kafka, you name it, and the list goes on and on. So these projects, those open source projects, are critical for the Java community. So the goal of the OpenJDK Quality Outreach is to improve the quality of the Java platform. How? By involving open source projects. So we are asking open source project maintainers to test their project using the latest and greatest OpenJDK early access build. And surely they know how to test their project. And also to help them, we are giving the Oracle Setup Java GitHub action to easily get access, amongst others, to the latest OpenJDK early access build. So the question is, how does that help? So we're asking project maintainers to test their project, and we are asking for feedback. Does it work using the latest OpenJDK early access build? Great. It doesn't work? That's fine too. We want to hear about it, and we prefer to know that sooner rather than later. The issue might be due to maybe a fix in OpenJDK that changed the behavior, maybe a regression in OpenJDK, or maybe just an issue in the project. Regardless, we want to know. And the idea is that we can investigate the issue in time, hopefully, so that we can address it before the new Java release goes out. And that's a win for the project, because if we do it, the project will run day one on the latest version of Java. So that's a win for the project, and obviously also for the user of that project, because the quality of the project will be improved too. And not only that, it's also a win for the Java community at large, because by doing that, we are also addressing issues in the Java platform itself. So it's really a win-win for the whole Java community. So one thing that is also part of the OpenJDK Quality Outreach program is communication. So we're asking for feedback, but we're also providing and supplying information. So regularly, we are issuing those quality outreach heads-ups, where we basically cherry-pick changes that we think will have an impact, and we communicate around them. A good example is, for example, what is happening around the security manager removal. So that type of effort is not happening overnight. We started, in fact, 3 years ago to send quality outreach updates around the removal of the security manager. And we're going to keep doing that until the security manager is fully removed from the platform. And together, those heads-ups are basically helping to tell the whole story. Now, I would like to bring on stage Donald Raab, project creator and project lead of Eclipse Collection, and Stuart Marks, a colleague with the core lib engineers. Hey guys. So, Don, you created this Eclipse Collection project more than 20 years ago. Can you quickly share a few words about it?
Sure. So for those that don't know, Eclipse Collections is an open source collections framework for Java. As he said, I created over 20 years ago, it's now 21 years. And it's at the Eclipse Foundation. You can find it actually up on GitHub. And what's interesting is Eclipse Collections, being a collections framework, is very low down on the stack. Sits right above the JDK. We integrate with all the JDK types like list, set, map. We have implementations of them. And it was interesting, I was on the Java specification expert group for Lambdas and streams. And the first time I got to actually download an early access version of OpenJDK was working on the expert group. And I was actually testing the changes that we were working on and proposing in the specification for streams with Eclipse Collections. And this was the first time working with a binary. I downloaded it, ran some tests. I remember it was May 2013. I was in London running tests, and I actually discovered there was some strange performance issue when running parallel streams with Eclipse Collections types. And I puzzled over it. You know, a few years later, it turns out we discovered a problem. I had to write a bunch of benchmarks. We actually implemented something. And there's a class you'll find came out in JDK 9. It's actually called Random Access Splitterator. And it was because I was actually running tests, discovered a bug, reported it to the OpenJDK mailing list, had some discussions, did the implementation with the team. And it was a great experience because, you know, we got that out early. Years later, when the OpenJDK Quality Outreach program came out, we actually joined, and what was great was with the program, whereas before there was a binary made available, I would download it, you can actually get the Quality Outreach binaries, just download them automatically as part of your GitHub Actions builds on GitHub, which is great. So new versions come out. And what we do on Eclipse Collections, because we're very concerned about our clients, right? When we do a new release, we want to make sure that we haven't broken anything. We're compatible with the latest versions of Java. So what we actually do is every pull request that comes in, we run builds against, it used to be Java 8. We don't do Java 8 anymore. We do Java 11, Java 17, Java 21. We'll do the latest version, which we'll now start doing Java 24. And then we'll do an early access build as well. The early access build allows us to find issues, and we found a few over the years, which we'll talk about, I think, one in a bit. But it's been great because then it creates an opportunity. I'll report the issue to the quality outreach team, and they'll put me in touch potentially with folks like Stuart, and we'll have discussions about what the issue is, and you know, great things can come out of that. So I do it selfishly. We're doing it for our clients, right? So there's something in it for me, right? It's not that we're just doing testing. It's actually making our products better as well. We can find issues that we can correct or report the issues to the JDK team. So.
And that's great because you are doing your job. You are focusing on your user, on your project. But at the end, there's this side effect, which you are also improving the platform. So that's great. So thank you for that. So Stuart, you are one of the core lib engineers. So you are working, you are one of the people developing OpenJDK. I looked, Eclipse Collection found quite a few issues since Java 20. So I randomly pick one. Can you quickly?
Yeah. OK, so let me describe this bug report to you. This came from the Quality Outreach program. So when I was working on the sequence collections JEP integration, which you'll hear about in my talk right after this keynote, one of the things I did was I added a private field to one of the collections classes. And I thought, OK, private field, no big deal, right? Well, it turns out that if you add a field, you know, I didn't think of it, but if you understand the whole system, it changes the serialization format. And so, but I didn't notice. And so that integration went in. The Quality Outreach build got downloaded by the Eclipse Collections test suite, and it ran. And one of their tests uncovered this change to the serial format. And so this got back to me, and so I filed this bug report that you see up here on the screen. And so it's like, okay, well, this is very interesting because this led to a series of steps and a good conversation, which was, well, first, I did not intend to change the serialization format. So basically, I had to add the transient modifier to that field. But the second question is, why did our test suite not catch that? Okay, so that's something that we have to follow up with there. And then there's a third question, which is, okay, actually, thank you for finding that bug for us, but why is your test suite failing because of a change that we made? It's like, okay, so we have to figure that out. So that was a good interaction that came out of the quality outreach program.
Okay, cool. So quickly done, what would be the call to action today?
So I would encourage any open source project out there, if you've got builds up on GitHub, it's so easy to actually become part of the quality outreach program. And the example that Stuart just gave is a great example of you can actually be doing something. You can actually, once again, guarantee at least for your clients stuff is working, but you can actually, potentially contribute back some, quality improvements to the JDK itself. So I would encourage open source projects to get in touch with the quality outreach organizers, actually become part of the program. And it's so easy to actually just download and use the things automatically. So it's been great for our project. So
great. So Don, I'd like to thank you, the whole Eclipse Collection team for what you are doing and all the projects that are involved in the quality outreach program. And as Don said, if you are a project maintainer and if you are not part of the project, the program, please join. It's easy. Just ping us, test using the OpenJDK Early Access build, and provide us feedback. Thank you. So now I would like to call Anna and Sharat, my dear colleagues, back on stage. Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute, I thought our section was over. We're back on stage again.
Yeah, we have some things extra to do today.
We have extra things to do today.
Yeah.
So hold on. We learned about
the
experiences, we learned about expertise from our peers, and our colleagues. We learned about programs like the Quality Outreach Program.
Yep.
But you have something interesting for all of us today.
Yeah, so there's another surprise for you here today in the audience. We are gonna run a little quiz for you to see how much you know about Java.
Wait a minute, they're gonna take a quiz?
Yeah, it's gonna be easy, don't worry.
Wait.
The answers are gonna be there already, they just need to pick one.
Okay, am I allowed to participate?
No, because you already know the answer.
I know the answers, okay.
It's
So
not
no
allowed.
prize for me, okay.
You know Java, you work with Java, it's not allowed.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a quiz. Please follow the instructions that are gonna be shown in the slides. And it's important for you to know that at the end of the quiz, please take a screenshot of the leaderboard, because if you're on that leaderboard at the end of the keynote, please come to take a t-shirt from us. And without further ado, let's start joining the quiz.
Do I have to give this t-shirt away?
Yes, yes,
I do.
yes. Just please stay with. So in order to join the quiz, please scan the QR code.
This isn't my size.
That's good.
Okay.
Because this means we need to give it.
So this is a really special shirt just made for participants in this. So if you if you win, you get a limited edition JavaOne t-shirt for 2025. There's an incentive here. Otherwise, I'm going to keep it.
By the way, one another instruction, you can use your real name or you can use the username that is being suggested by Menti. It's up to you. Important thing is at the end, screenshot the leaderboard so that we know who you are and can show to us, hey, it's me.
I see a lot of hearts already. That's great.
Yeah. What, we need a little bit more people? Come on, Joe. Huh? It didn't start yet. Wait a moment. Yes. Just wait a second. Wait a second.
This is a test in patience also.
Yes.
Because we are all thoughtful developers. We don't move fast and break things.
So yeah, we need to just make sure that everybody scan the QR code and get to the same page. We're a little longer.
We're going to move thoughtfully and win things. Yes? Okay.
Okay, so let's go to the next one.
All right, here we go.
So we can see that there are some players there.
Great participation. I like the avatars.
Yeah. yeah, randomly chosen.
I don't see Duke. Where's Duke?
We don't have Duke.
Okay.
They don't have Duke. But we have Duke with us here in the audience. Okay, ready, steady, go. Remember, answer fast to get more points. First question, now look at your screens. So Java wasn't always Java. What was its original name? Answer faster, get more points.
Tea isn't an option?
What? Tea? Tea?
No?
No.
Coffee, tea, Java? No? All right.
No, you're not allowed to say answers. Remember, no cheating.
No cheating.
There's no T-shirt on your size. Remember?
What you're trying to say is I have to become more streamlined like Java. That's a good incentive. Okay.
True.
I get it.
Well.
And?
Done. Okay. So the correct answer was oak. Congratulations to those who answered correctly. Those who didn't, you have another chance now. So question 2 out of 4. Look at your phones.
Remember, speed gets you more points, but think carefully before pressing the button.
So which of the following statements is true about Java?
First option, Java was originally called C++. Second, Java is an acronym for just another virtual architecture.
That could work, you know.
Could it? It's kind of interesting. Third one, Java was initially designed for interactive television. And lastly, Java was developed for building web applications.
So, which one is it?
I'm kind of curious, which horse is going to win this race? I should have said Duke.
Duke.
Which Duke is going to win this race?
3, 2,
and
1, 0.
The right answer is?
Please. Yes, Java was initially designed for interactive television. So congratulations to those who answered quickly and correctly. And to the others, good luck with the next one.
Did we really have 6 people think Java was originally called C++?
I think they were just having fun.
That's not in my history book. Are we rewriting history?
No.
Okay.
To whom it belongs this quote, I enjoy evangelizing Java. In my heart of hearts, I'm an engineer, and what makes me happy is building something that works and having someone use it. So, to whom do you think this belongs to?
Options are Trisha G, Venkat Subramaniam, who's Ryan Gosling?
I don't know, but people keep mentioning it in our YouTube videos.
Ryan Gosling?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last option, James Gosling. Does everyone know who he is? I hope so. Okay. Well, earlier on, many of you said you were first-time attendees at JavaOne, so we just want to make sure everyone knows who James is. Read your history books.
Well done, well done. It was James Gosling. And now, question.
Last question, here we go.
4 out of 4. Which slogan was coined to highlight Java's cross-platform capabilities? Good luck.
Program once, run everywhere. Write once, run anywhere. Develop once, execute everywhere. And code once, develop everywhere. Deploy everywhere. Okay.
Come on, folks.
I'm thinking, can we do this doing rock, paper, scissors? No? Okay.
No.
Develop once, execute everywhere.
Yep.
Program once, run everywhere.
3, 2, 1, 0. So, yes, the correct one was write once, run anywhere. And now we have a little surprise for you. We're going to have a small interactive session now, so we're going to give some of the t-shirts. If you are shouting to us why you love coding in Java, so you need to complete this sentence, stand up, and shout why you love coding with Java.
Who's brave enough to do that? Who's going to stand up, first of all? Step one,
Can you
stand
be
up.
quick? Yeah.
Because the language is awesome.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Give him a T-shirt.
Am I allowed to throw this?
No. Give it to Steve. Another brave person. Why do you love coding with Java? Yes? Because it's easy. Another T-shirt there.
Can't throw this.
Another brave person. Yes?
Because
it's
it runs
robust.
fast.
Amazing. Another T-shirt there. Yes? Because it's performant. There another person in the back? Because it's a good language for teaching students. Amazing. Another T-shirt in the back there. Any other brave? Okay. Because it's not dead yet. Another T-shirt there. The last one over there. Gentleman over there. Sorry? Oh my God. I didn't catch that one. But yeah, we're going to give you a T-shirt. So that's done. Now see the leaderboard. So folks, take a screenshot of the leaderboard. You will need it because your username might be the lucky winner of a T-shirt. Come and collect it at the end of the keynote. Look how many we have there. We need to get rid of all those. So please remember your rank, come with a screenshot, and we're hopefully trying to get rid of all
I think we have enough T-shirts for everyone. Anna, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
This was really, really fun.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining the fun, and stay tuned for more.
So, if you ever want to know what it's like to have an interview on the Java team, we also have history questions. So make sure you know your Java history. There's a lot to learn. And speaking of learning, we want to continue this theme about how we're paving the on-ramp for the next generation of developers. While it's important we continue to nurture the community we do have, we want to make sure we're also making it welcoming for the next generation. And to help us celebrate Java and education, please help welcome my colleague who runs the Java and Education Initiative at Oracle, Heather Stevens.
Good morning. I've had so much fun talking to you guys. Thank you for sharing all your stories, and especially those where you're telling me about how you're making a difference for those that come behind us. It's deeply special to me, and I think it's highly important, so awesome. I had to make myself a cheat sheet because so many of you came up to share. I can only share a few names, so let me just mention a couple. We have people, of course, working on simplifying the first experience through both the JDK and in tooling and frameworks and all sorts of things, including, for example, JSR 381 with the VisRack spec led by Frank Greco and Zoran. We saw yesterday a talk from Brian Semboden on Jupyter Notebooks for Java. That was fantastic. We've got a lot of people out there doing things like creating boot camps for free and workshops. So, for example, Carlos Obregon in Colombia has done a free boot camp for kids that he runs regularly. We're seeing that with different jugs like Philippines and Dominica and Garden State, which is super fantastic. A lot of you are authors, right? We've got Kai Horstman's unblog posts, have a lot of teaching things in it. Of course, he wrote a book. Barry Bird wrote a book. Gene Boyarsky. You all are great at this. And lastly, almost everyone that I talk to is spending time directly in high school classrooms, working with teachers, working with students, running robotics competitions, things like that. Like, it's awesome. So David Bach is an example of that kind of activity. Now, since I can't name everybody, and I know a lot of you guys are doing this, can we bring up the house lights just for a minute? All right. This is your chance to move. Educators. Anyone in the room who's an educator, please stand and keep standing. Awesome. I love that. Okay. Anybody who is in the community putting out learning content, books, blogs, workshops, anything like that, please stand. Anyone who is keep standing. Anyone who's directly engaging in classrooms, competitions, working with teachers, please stand. Keep standing. Keep standing. Anybody who's working on the JDK and language improvements or for tooling like IntelliJ or Visual Studio Code or coming out of universities, JGrasp, Alice, tools like that, frameworks, please stand. Okay, so this is a lot of you. You can see a lot of this group are engaged in this, and it's awesome because you are the fuel, right, that drives everyone forward, and I'm so grateful for you, so thank you. And bring the house lights down. Okay, so during the opening keynote, you heard about the College Board and got to hear directly from Edward Biederman on that. And then at the very tail end, Chad announced Learn.java. So we wanted to take a beat and give you a little bit more information about Learn.java plus Java Playground. So I'd like to invite Crystal Sheldon, the Director of Java and Education, and Dennis McCogan, who is a Java developer evangelist out on the stage. These two things, in my mind, they go together like, I was going to say peanut butter and jelly because that's where my brain's at, but how about C-3PO and R2-D2? Thanks, you guys. Please come out on the stage.
Learn Java is for beginners, students, and teachers. It has been created to meet the needs of those that are just starting out learning Java. This could be someone who has a background in another programming language but wants to also learn Java. It could be a student in a university that's taking Intro to CS, think like a CS1 type class. Or it could be the many teachers that are kind of voluntold that they're going to teach a course in AP Computer Science A at a high school and have no background in computer science. Learn.java seeks to motivate the use of Java and help to answer the question, why Java? I think teachers and students ask this question all the time. Why is it important to start this journey learning Java? In this section, we help to connect them to what it means to be a Java developer and showcase where Java is being used in the real world. So I want to share your stories as Java developers on social media. We are inviting you to record a video with us, so like a little short video today, or you can record your own thing and post it on social media and tag Learn Java, so we can help motivate future generations. The Java Learners Corner is for anyone that's learning Java, even teachers. We have a Learn section that has tutorials in it that will help people learn, and then practice section where they will practice what they learned, and then an apply section where they will complete mini labs and apply the things that they learned in those other sections. Learn Java is also here, like I said, to support teachers and curriculum providers. We offer a curriculum map that provides a way, not the way, to sequence a course in Intro to CS. It also helps them to incorporate some of the many features in the latest versions of Java. We recognize that changing course curriculum is a huge lift for teachers, and so we're asking and encouraging them to make some incremental changes so that their course is up to date and keeping pace. We also offer an educator brief that has what we feel are the things that would impact introductory CS that have been released through Java 8 through 24. And then we have sections on recruitment and engagement to help them make their classes more engaging. In talking to teachers, we know that one of the issues that they face is the growing replacement of desktop computers with Chromebooks and other web-only devices. The Java Playground can be a valuable educational asset for these teachers to use with their students. Dennis, can you tell us a little bit about Java Playground?
Sure. Thank you, Crystal. We really care about newcomers to Java, and one of our major goals is to lower the barrier to Java to as low as possible. This statement implies not only to language feature, code verbosity, but also to the tools that Java developers possess and interact with. Maybe you just started learning Java, or you want to prototype some new code with the latest JDK feature because the Playground often offers the latest and the greatest JDK release. As of now, it's 24th. So you need a tool that you can use everywhere, while at home, commuting to work, or having a lunch that runs on every device, your phone, your tablet, your laptop. So Java Playground here is for you. Highly likely, many of you have tried the Playground while I'm talking here on stage, or you're already using it on a daily basis. Kudos to our educators here. And you can go try something as simple as simplified I/O, or you can go hardcore with string gathers. So no matter what your background and what your intentions are, the playground will be a good friend of yours on your learning curve. So, and these are not just words. Playground has, albeit not formal, but a reward, community trust. Back in 2024, just 1 year after in production, we have surpassed 1.5 million invocations, and as of now, we have doubled these numbers, and we expect these numbers to grow. You see, we are committed to make learning paths as smooth and simple as possible. However, we also consider the learning to be an integral part of the playground. So we want, and there's a problem with the playground because there is a detachment between learning process and the playground. So we want to fix this. We want to make sure the playground is a cornerstone of learning. So we are pleased to announce that starting from now, Playground is expanding its presence and will become a part of our tutorials at dev.java. So, and we're also committed to make as many tutorials interactive as possible. Thank you. Back to you, Crystal.
In our classrooms, often exercises are completed on paper or whiteboards, and what I'm excited about with the Java Playground is the opportunity for students to not have to wait for a teacher to provide them feedback, but to get this immediate feedback through the Java Playground. So they can try out some things and tinker with it and get feedback right from Playground and then make changes without the overhead of having to write an entire complete program. We are starting to embed the Java Playground into our learn and practice sections of learn.java, and we plan to embed it into other sections as well. So we invite everybody to learn with dev.java and learn.java.
And experiment with Java Playground. Thank you, and please welcome back Shar on stage.
So on Monday, we were kind of lucky to have you and your father, Colt, having Scott's presence on stage, who helped start this journey these past 30 years. And a little bit of that reflection was Scott's inspiration as far as where Java started and what it has done. But the question is, where's Java going to go for the next 30 years and beyond? And I couldn't think of a greater example at Colt than what you're doing at Little Horse. And so you have really embraced a lot of the spirit of what Java represents. And one of those dimensions is compatibility. How does compatibility play at Little Horse?
It's really, really important for us.
Yeah.
And I think, before I answer the question, it's great to see code on the screen just before this, and I was asking Shar earlier, are there going to be some live demos? And then we realized, the whole conference is a live demo of Java, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so for compatibility, I think we saw on Tuesday Mark Reynolds' presentation about all of the things that the Java community does to ensure that code that works once on Java continues to work forever. There's the Java language, which gets compiled into jar files, and then the jar files get executed on the JVM runtime. And they test the new JVMs with jar files that were compiled back in Java 1.0, and they still work. And they ensure that old code written against Java 1.0 still works now with Java 24, which is absolutely incredible. And that's really important for people using Java for enterprise systems. And we're, in Little Horse, we kind of have an analogous sort of system where we have a workflow DSL, which is in Java, and that creates a workflow specification, which is a specification for a distributed program that runs across a large cluster. And then we take that workflow specification, which is a protobuf object, and run it on the Little Horse server. So we can kind of treat that workflow specification as if it were a jar file. And we've been, for the last year or so, when we're about to release 1.0 and really start taking this seriously, we've been running old workflow specifications compiled from ages ago and making sure that they still behave the same on the newer versions of Little Horse, just kind of like how Java does. So I think if we can come close at all to being as reliable and compatible as Java, mission accomplished.
So compatibility is mission critical for Java, but there's so much more spirit of what Java represents. And I'm sure your father probably immersed you in that entire spirit of what Java was and is. What else are you leveraging out of that spirit of Java?
Well, there's a couple Sun folks I saw here last night at the party, and my dad always used to say, kick butt, have fun. So we're trying to do that at Little Horse, and we're trying to make it fun to use Little Horse, trying to make it fun to work at Little Horse. Lots of interesting projects we're doing, lots of Java code getting written. The other thing is, Java is an open system, open source. There's OpenJDK, there's enterprise distributions of it, but Little Horse also, our code's up on GitHub, our roadmap is public, and we're just trying to be very developer friendly, because Java developers and developers in general are who we try to serve and what the community is for.
Well, you touched on it, which is that last word in your sentence just rings to my heart, which is community. Really at the center of Java, as we started today's keynote, is people and developers. Have you embraced that developer culture at Little Horse?
Well, at the end of the day, Little Horse is for developers. To use Little Horse, you write code and you run code with Little Horse, and we're trying to make it as joyful to run modern cloud-native distributed apps as it was to run on a single laptop where you have debuggers, you can pause your programs, you can look at flame graphs, you can attach the JMX console and debug things. We're trying to bring that to processes that run over days or run across multiple computers, some on-prem data centers, cloud data centers. We're trying to bring that spirit to distributed programming. And we're also trying to embrace the community and hear from as many people as possible, hear what their challenges are, how they're building microservices, how they're building agentic applications, and just try to get in front of as many people as we can. So Shar, you got any tips for how to do that?
Tips to get in front of developers. Well, I see a lot of developers in this room. Many are online. And that's the beauty of what we do here on the Java team. We try to make sure the technology is rock solid foundation, but ensuring that there's a vibrancy in the community. I think we have several programs you can leverage to get in front of developers and get their feedback, because that's the heartbeat of Java. And as your father always said, it's about the people. And Colt, you are part of this Java community and Java family, so thank you for your time.
Thanks, Shar. Keep kicking butt, have fun.
I will never forget that slogan. I hope Scott did not trademark that, but kick butt and have fun. I mean, what a great collection of words to be rallied around and to live by. And that's what we really try to do here in the Java community. It's about putting people first. Yes, the technology, the language, and the platform matter, but those things don't happen overnight. Those don't happen without a collective dialogue, a discussion, and a debate amongst each other here on the Java team, but also with all of you. How do we do that? Now, this week, we launched many new programs. You learned about Learn.java, about paving the on-ramp for the next generation of developers. We have Dev.java, our center portal for all things learning and community. But we can't invite another generation to our community unless we continue to nurture our existing community, our existing ecosystem, people just like you. And that's why it's important our foundational programs stay robust. My father, I know he's watching right now, he always uses the analogy, for a tree to grow, you have to water the roots. And these programs are foundational to the roots and success of the Java community. Things like the OpenJDK community, where you can literally participate with us at Oracle on the Java team to shape the future of Java. Participating in the JCP to ensuring the robustness of the specification carries forward. There's other ways to participate. So many of you have become certified Java developers by taking our certified education program through Oracle University. Partnering with Oracle Academy to ensure we have information for both students and teachers to empower their Java knowledge. But again, for me, it's all about the people. And there's two programs here that are mission critical for the next 30 years of Java and the ecosystem. And that's our Java user group program. Now, if you are a leader of a Java user group, could you please stand up? Please remain standing. These individuals build and rally local developers about use cases, best practices, how to drive your career forward, how to stay passionate and find purpose in Java. If you are a Java champion, could you also stand up? Who are Java champions? Java champions are independent-minded developers that ensure both knowledge and community information get populated within the world of our ecosystem. Now, I hope one day we're able to establish a Java user group and have a Java champion in Antarctica. It's a stretch goal, but every continent on this planet has a user group close to you or a Java champion you can connect with. People like Frank Greco, Donald Raab, Jean Boyarsky, Mala Gupta, Chandra Gunter. Other individuals and other parts of the continent like Matthias Carlson, Brian Vermeer, Venkat Subramaniam, and of course the other individuals that are not here, folks like Simon Ritter and Trisha G. Pratik Patel and Justin Lee. These individuals are all nearby, many of you, so I ask all of you to make sure you stay connected with these individuals because they are an extension of us. They represent the voice of Java beyond our walls. They provide a trusted source and credibility about the future of Java. So let's say thank you to all of them. Okay, you can sit down now. We have people in Antarctica. I did not know that. I'm going to have to update my slides. So just this year, we've welcomed many new Java user groups around the planet in Ghana and Bolivia, Netherlands and Finland, some established locations with new user groups. And we've also welcomed 5 new members to our Java Champions program. So let's thank them as well for being part of this great family. None of this is possible. None of this is possible without the dedication of some very special hidden figures. I've been lucky enough to be on this journey since 2000, met some great people, some fantastic colleagues who literally put their soul into ensuring the community stays vibrant. And all too often, we never say thank you to the people who make our community programs, our channels, our activities, our unmeasured conversations that may not show up on a balance sheet. It's important we highlight these individuals because of what they do, and I'd like to bring out all of my colleagues from the Java Developer Relations team onto the stage. Come on in. Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. So all of these people are passionate about not just Java, but all of you. They're located in various parts of the world. It's important that you stay connected with them. A few of them are not on stage, but they are here with us in spirit. And it's also important to recognize that we're always accessible. You can find us online, you can find us on social media, you can find us through our various channels where we're populating information on our official YouTube channel, on dev.java, or at conferences, or even here at JavaOne. So my thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean.
Now, we talked about 30 years of Java coming up on May 23rd. And I don't think there's any better way to start that celebration than right here, right now. Let's welcome back all of our guests for today's keynote. Where are they? Come on out. There they are. Don't be shy. Come on in. And I think we have a special guest as well, hiding here somewhere. Where don't we have a special guest coming? There we are. May 23rd is coming awful fast. I think we need to practice a proper happy birthday. So with me, let's sing happy birthday to Java. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Java. Happy birthday to you. All right, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your JavaOne. Remember, we have our fireside chat this afternoon. Bring your sharp questions. This is your opportunity to connect. That's right, Duke. They need to connect with our architects. You're watching them. Bring your hard questions, and guess what? There'll be more t-shirts as well. Have a great rest of your JavaOne, everyone. Thank you very much.
What? Hey everyone, welcome back to the studio. Happy birthday to Java and to Duke. Can't believe it's 30 years. Well, it's going to be 30 years. It's like May 18th or May sometime in May. I can't quite remember. It's right in the middle of May is when Java was officially released, all the way back in 1995. Quite a while ago now. But yeah, you know, also remember that time as well. But yeah, so welcome back. That was a great community keynote, and you'll probably recognize Donald here. He was also part of it. And so if you were watching this entire live stream, we were talking earlier, or I was talking earlier with Vincent Mayers, and we were talking about the Java community. A lot of it talking about being at Java users groups, speaking, and kind of that aspect of it. But now we're going to talk a little bit a different aspect on how to provide feedback to Java and to improve it. And well, that is actually a part of your keynote that was part of your session during the keynote. Yep. So I'm going to give a little bit about who you are and also how you started to provide feedback to improve Java.
Sure. Thanks, Billy. So my name is Donald Raab. I am the creator of the Eclipse Collections library. I've been working on it now for 21 years. And during the process of working on it, because Eclipse Collections is an open source collections library for Java, it's very low down, I would say, in the stack, you know, just right above the JDK. And it also integrates with all the JDK types. And what's interesting is that we are susceptible sometimes to, you know, changes in the JDK. We want to be aware of them as early as possible. And I was on the Java specification request expert group for Lambdas and streams. And back in May 2013, and I talked about this in the keynote, I was doing early access testing of the early Lambda binaries before it got out into Java 8. And that was part of what I was doing on the expert group. And I was testing it with Eclipse Collections and actually found a performance bug and dug into it. And it wound up actually being something. At the time, I was part of the expert group. So the communication was very, you know, fluent. I would be emailing the expert group members. So it was emailing the expert group. And you can actually see the emails I sent. The expert group emails are all archived and everything. So you can actually see them. But, you know, later when the OpenJDK Quality Outreach Program came out, you know, I joined that. We started doing builds. And once the early access builds were made easily available so you could get them, you know, just hooked up easily in your GitHub Actions builds, we just set up builds for, once again, like we do Java 11, Java 17, Java 21. We'll now do Java 24, and the early access version of 25 is out. So we can, once again, verify that Eclipse Collections, you know, we haven't broken anything on older versions. We're compatible with everything coming out. And that's actually one of the things we do on the on our README on GitHub. We actually have a compatibility matrix. So like once we do testing, we say, yeah, this is the version that is compatible with you know, this version. It was interesting because there was a problem that we found. I want to say it was JDK 15. There was I believe it was 15. There was a method that was added to char sequence. So the method isEmpty was added. And it turns out, you know, and it was added as a default method, which you would think like pretty safe. It's default. You know, and who would be ever colliding with a method, you know, in char sequence? And, you know, Don waves his hand. So we had our own interface in Eclipse Collections, trying to, it's probably called primitive iterable, I think.
Yep.
And we also had a default method called isEmpty.
Oh no.
And we had a type that combined, both char sequence and primitive iterable. And, two default methods colliding down here, and the, Java rightly tells you, well, this is kind of ambiguous. Like we don't know which one to choose. Yeah, so we actually had to go and fix our subclass. But what it meant was we had to release a new version of Eclipse Collections, which would then be compatible with Java 15, and above. So like anything, if you're using Java 15 or above, you can't be using anything below Eclipse Collections 10.4, right? So. And that, once again, that was great. We detected that early. We made the fix on that one. It was interesting because Stuart Marks, as a result, we had, got in touch with him once we've reported the error to the Quality Outreach Program, and he wrote a tremendous blog about it. It's up on his site, his blogging. I'm trying to remember the name of his site, and let me come to me later.
Yeah.
He wrote a tremendous blog explaining this particular problem, because I think it was the first time anyone had actually seen that problem in the wild. Once again, like you have two default methods colliding, and without the ability to differentiate, you've got to provide your implementation in the subtype. So that was interesting. I had forgotten until we were doing the keynote this time that we actually found that serialization bug that we talked about.
Oh yeah,
in the keynote, and that one's interesting. And people, a few folks had actually asked me, how did you find a serialization bug in the JDK? And it just turns out, so we have a battery of serialization tests for all of our own types, but there are lesser known types in Eclipse Collections that are actually just adapters for JDK types.
Yeah.
So what we do is we have serialization tests even for those, because they're serializable. And we'll adapt a linked hash map and do a serialization test for that. And that's actually where we found it. And it's funny because I remember when I first started seeing the error, and I'm like, I'd never seen the JDK break a serialization test for it. And I'm like scratching my head. I was like, is this us? Like, did we do something?
Yeah,
like,
those are definitely one of those very low level things. It's like, wait, is this us? Is this the JDK? Like, it seems too low level almost for us to be finding it at this point. So yeah, every so once in a while though, those lower level ones do actually crop out there.
And it's one thing I would actually say for anybody out there working on an open source project, definitely encourage you to get involved, because you'd be surprised. You may actually find something, and the communication with the core members of the JDK team and the Quality Outreach Program is great. Like you email the Quality Outreach, they'll get in touch with the core team, and then you can be having a conversation. And what's nice is and once again, with the linked hash map example, like you can actually see there's a tag there that says Eclipse Collections found. It's like, that's a nice feeling. Like, hey. There's a history of, hey, we actually did something, found something, and improved the quality of the tool we all know and love. So
yeah, and something you kind of just mentioned a little bit ago, a really good way you can kind of get started on that road to giving feedback is through the early access build. So like, if you just download JDK 24 and you happen to find an issue in JDK 24, I mean, of course, we're happy to hear that, but we'd be much more happy to hear that before it's actually released. And so a good way to get started is, again, by going to the early access builds. So of course, there's already JDK 25 early access builds available. There's also early access builds available for things like Loom, Valhalla, Panama. I think, not quite every project has an early access build, but that could be a great way. Like if you're really interested in like the structured concurrency. So there's going to be like a new structured concurrency API coming out in JDK 25. Like the best time to give feedback on that isn't to wait until like the release candidates are for JDK 25 are available, but actually to do that now, because there's still this about 3-month period until JDK 25 where the Loom team can actually take some feedback and improve upon it, or of course, for all the other different features. So,
and that's actually a great point. Like, even if you're not an open source project, just getting access to the early access builds. That's a great resource for folks inside of companies if they want to do early access testing with their own apps and whatnot, right? So
yeah, and it's a lot easier these days. Just maybe set up a new concurrent pipeline that maybe only runs every once a week or something, but just have it bring in an early access build. Like it's a really good learning opportunity as well if you're kind of interested in kind of branching out and kind of doing some different things like that. So Yeah, but how do you go about giving feedback? Because I think that's also an important thing. When you send an email, did you just say it's broken and it's wrong, or
No, we give as much specifics as possible.
Yeah.
So it might be like including stack trace, linking to the test case where we found the error. So the nice thing is we have a battery of 170,000 unit tests in Eclipse collection. So
Yeah.
like we'll just link to the unit test and share that.
Yeah.
With once again the stack trace details if it exists, right? Or if it doesn't exist, if there's like some if there was a number comparison, we would just share like the inputs, outputs, and goes some details. So the quality outreach team then gets as much information as they can to report it to the core team, and then once again we'll get in touch then potentially with those members. So
yeah, that is like one of the important things is that as you're providing feedback, it's like even if you're right, you need to like kind of show how you're coming to that conclusion, because if you don't have a stack or you don't have a test case to recreate it, then that puts a lot of effort and work on the quality outreach team to then try to recreate that issue. And of course, that time, that just takes time. So we don't always have that time.
Well, it's funny. It's a great point. And actually, I have a blog up on Medium about this. There's one blog I have about joining and contributing to the quality outreach program. There's another one about making a contribution to OpenJDK. And it just made me think that it's so important when you think you have this great idea, right, that no one's ever thought about, and or you found this problem that nobody's noticed. How do I? It's really important that when you identify it, you actually go about, testing it, proving it, providing information, right? Because just throwing out there like it's broken or this needs to be faster, or this is horrible, that's not helpful.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
that it isn't, and it's also one of those things. So also, I was mentioning, like I was talking with Vince earlier, and he has a presentation called 3 Cups of Java, and it's based upon like another thing called 3 Cups of Tea, where it's like, and it's about building a relationship. And so like sometimes we hear in the feedback from the community about very broad, like, oh wow, Java needs to completely change to do something like this. And maybe that person is right, but it's very difficult if like your first interaction is just like you should completely rewrite collections hierarchy to completely different. Like that's probably not going to be acted upon. But if you start to build that relationship, giving a thing like, hey, it looks like this is a bit slow. Here's how it's done, and consistently giving that feedback. You can start to build that relationship. You're like, hey, you know what? Actually, maybe we should kind of make a change kind of like this, because otherwise, we would never get anywhere if we just went with all the very sometimes broad changes of like completely rewrite streams or completely rewrite.
yeah. We all have time to do that.
yeah, exactly. Very, very simple change to make. So So actually you also did something even crazier than going through all that feedback. You recently published a book, or you both wrote and published
a book. So yeah, it was interesting because I think after 21 years of working on something, you're required to write a book. So this is the book just released this week. It's up on Amazon if folks are interested. So it really chronicles, the 20 years of effort that went into, working on Eclipse collections. And the important thing with Eclipse collections is, while I created it, there have been 100 contributors to it, for the last almost 10 years it's been at the Eclipse Foundation. So I created originally at a bank, but, when it was open source in 2012, there have been a lot of folks contributing into it in open source. So really, I'm not only chronicling my own, creation work, it's like chronicling the work of so many other folks that have contributed to the API or implementations or types, right? And we have like, there's thousands of classes, there's over 1 million lines of code. And it's interesting because if you look on the cover, they usually tell you don't judge a book by its cover, right? You can actually judge the book and, now the library by the cover. So on the cover, there's a path, and actually you see there's like steps in the path, and each one of these is a category. And to take 1 million lines of code, like whoever would want to pick up 1 million lines of code and teach it to themselves, right? It's like, it's an impossible task, right? Or daunting, it would take you a long time. And the approach I took in the book was to actually take that 1 million lines of code and take really our parent interface, which has over 150 methods. And if you open up a class in your IDE and you see 150 methods, you're like,
yeah,
blinding.
where do you start?
Yeah, exactly. So, but the categories actually allow you to break that 150 down to like 9 categories.
Okay, that's good.
Right, so that's digestible, and you get categories like counting and testing and finding and filtering and transforming and grouping, aggregating, converting, iterating, mutating. So these actually help you then chunk, the methods that are available in the interface and actually give you then a path to find the things you're looking for. Because it's easier for you to remember 9 things.
Yeah.
You're not going to remember 150, right?
No one.
And so it's like conceptualizing just a smaller set of things is much more helpful. And I'm hoping this is actually something other library developers pick up and start using. So I'm hoping eventually we can get a change into JavaDoc itself where you could actually tag methods as belonging to a method category.
Yeah.
What I've done in the interim is basically in the IDEs like IntelliJ, I think NetBeans does it, VS Code does it as well. You can do what are called custom code folding regions. So you can take a bunch of methods, put them in a region, and effectively what that becomes for us, and I've done this in the rich iterable type, which is our parent type in Eclipse collections, it just allows me to categorize them, right? It's like in the IDE, what you see then is instead of 150 methods that scroll off the screen and let me go find something, right? And either it'll be in encounter order in the file, or I can sort it alphabetically, but that's not very helpful, right? But when you go into it now, when you open up rich iterable, you'll see just the 9 categories. And then you can explode them out in a tree view and see the methods in each one.
Nice.
So, yeah.
But, that's also sometimes how that feedback happens of like for JavaDoc is instead of just like a grand idea, it's like because you're working with some classes do end up having those 100+ methods, and it would be really good in certain cases to have a way of categorizing it. And yeah, hopefully that does get incorporated into the JavaDoc. Actually, that's something that's been doing a lot of evolution over the recent releases. Going from like the JDK 7, JDK 8 days, like it's a significant improvement to what we have right now. And also a lot of that stuff you can actually incorporate into your own projects and maybe your own libraries at your organization. So definitely look into that as well.
Yeah. And I think, this gets back to, as we were talking about before, like getting in touch with people and whatnot, because I've been involved for so many years, right? I'm able to now, I have relationships with people. I've, built up my network, I can, contact various people, about ideas that I have and shoot them about without, once again, throwing something out there and just have a discussion. But that takes time to build that, but you have to get started somewhere doing it, right?
And how would you get started? Like where would you be a good place to head to? Or
so you've got, one place to look at is you can go to the OpenJDK mailing list, right? So, and you can see there's a voluminous amount of information that goes there. So a ton to witness and learn, right? And pay attention to like what, folks are doing. It's also a great place if you think you have the best idea in the world. Someone else may have already had it. Just go search the mail list, right? Beyond that, it's like definitely, I would recommend going to Java user group meetups, go to conferences like this where they're available in your area, or if you can get out to them. It's a great place. We always talk about the hallway track, right? You'll be able to run into folks, right? Might be someone like walking around with a T-shirt with their book cover on. So you can actually recognize who it is, or you have name tags as well. You'll see the names, right? And you can put names to faces, so that's always good. But for the quality outreach program, I would say like if you're an open source project, go to the OpenJDK quality outreach program wiki. See the projects that are already there. You'll see the names of the project leads. You'll see the versions of Java that people have reported that they're testing against and stuff. And reach out if you want to join. Just reach out to the contact information that's available on the wiki. Email them, and they'll get you set up, and you'll start to get automated emails when new versions of JDK come out. It's like you'll get notifications on that, and do your testing, set up your builds. It's so easy to get stuff set up. I mean, the combination of like the access to the early access builds, the ability to get them very easily, like with things like GitHub Actions, has been tremendous for open source projects like Eclipse collections, because it reduces the amount of effort we have to go through to start using stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. And so and also probably focus on a specific area first. Don't try to take in the whole thing. As you said, like it's a lot of information. But great. Well, if you want to get started, definitely check out the OpenJDK outreach program. Check out the archives, and also don't forget to go to your local Java users groups. But thank you, Donald, so much for coming out here. Yeah.
Thanks,
All right, so we're going to have Chad Arimura to kind of help us wrap up JavaOne here on a couple of minutes, so don't go anywhere. All right, everyone. Well, we are starting to wrap up here at JavaOne, or at least definitely the JavaOne live stream. And I'm here with Chad Arimura, the VP of Java Developer Relations. So, and JavaOne, I feel like it's when I've been talking to attendees, they've been saying it feels like JavaOne. Maybe. So, how many countries did people come here for to attend? So.
Well, 45 countries, Billy.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's such an honor to have this event again.
Yeah.
You know, we've been working on this event for a long time now, and I've been
Yes.
looking at this studio so many times before the stream, thinking about what we're going to put on the shelves behind us, what books we're going to put on the table here. And it's such an iconic event. And so it was like, how are we going to really capture the essence of JavaOne? And it's sort of a tall order. And we've worked pretty hard at it. So yeah, 45 countries were represented. I mean, I was really surprised when we saw that.
Yeah, you were giving us regular updates on registrations, and it was quite surprising when, like, even just a week before, like, we were getting people from like Germany, Japan. I think you organized a run, and we had 2 attendees from Taiwan even. So. Like, it was truly a full-on international event.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll add that we had the run, and maybe 25 people showed up because it was at 6:15 a.m. and it was
very early.
actually dark in California at that time because the time changed. But I said, "Oh, it's really nice to have you guys. Where are you from?" I said, "Taiwan." So that's really great. And then they said, "It's our first time to America." And I was like, "Wow, that's for JavaOne. I mean, that's such a big deal." And I think that was just a small snapshot of the overall vibe of the conference. In fact, one other thing I'll say is in the opening keynote, this is funny. In the opening keynote, I asked a question, how many people is this their first JavaOne?
Yeah.
And I kind of knew the answer because I've seen the registration data. So I'm thinking 15, 20% hands are gonna go up. And I was gonna say, wow, let's see. And over half the room, like their hands went up. So it must be that like, the registration data, or it was a little bit of a sample bias for the people who are in the room, but like literally like half the room, the first JavaOne, that's so cool. It's such a cool experience.
Yeah, and speaking of experience, like, you know, we're giving you a bit of a taste if you can't be here, kind of going over, you got to see the keynote, but like that's just like looking through the keyhole of JavaOne. I mean, of course, we've been talking about the hallway track, but we also had a lot of great after party events as well. We just had our attendee party last night. And Nicolai, he gave a great presentation about the importance of commenting in code. Was a little more sarcastic there, but
say the words.
No,
yes,
not on this live stream.
I said, clean it up, Nicolai. Clean it up.
But yeah, no. So you know, hopefully more people can in some future, if we can do this again, attend in person, because that's definitely going to be the fun of it, because you get to do the hallway track and stuff like that. So
yeah, well, you know, we worked really, really hard. It's here on the Oracle campus at the conference center.
Yeah,
and the conference center, it's the perfect size to have an intimate event with the right amount of people. And you know, the first thing I said to the branding and the events team, I said, I want this not to look like a general event center, but to look like a JavaOne event, a JavaOne center. And we rebranded the side of the walls, the side of the pillars. And when you walk in, there's the latte cart and the experience. There's not that many hallways. Because we really kind of limited to the areas and people. Oh, another thing. So we got a bunch of bean bags set up, and I was like, I don't think anyone's going to use these bean bags. There's like 100 of them.
Those are very comfortable.
People were camped out all day, hanging out, talking, and it was just so cool. And the attendee event and all the different things that we put a lot of effort into thinking about it. So we really, I think that, you know, the feedback that I'm getting is that people have had a really great time. They've loved coming, and I think we've got a good solid base of people who are excited to come back next year.
Yeah, and you know, I would say like when we had many different theming options, and I admit like I was initially not a fan of the one, but we actually executed it well, because I thought, because like we kind of like sticker culture is like a big thing. Like I don't actually do it a whole lot, but like most other developers like to put like all the different stickers from like all the different conferences they've been to, or you know, different technologies they use. And so like that was like a big theme throughout that. So you can I don't know if you can quite see it there, but like there's various themes throughout that. But we all incorporated together. We gave out a bunch of gifts that have like all the attendees with stickers in it, like the bean bags. Like it was all a cohesive thing. It wasn't just like, oh, we're gonna just have this here and then nothing else follows through. Like we actually really did a great job of like having a consistent theme throughout.
You know, I really want to give a shout out to our branding team. Andre and his team put in such such passion into the conference. You can see it all throughout. He came up with this idea all on his own of these band posters, these like traditional kind of grunge band wall. And we showed up at the conference. There was the ice sculpture and the beers on tap with the Duke's Hazy IPA. And then the band wall, and everyone was taking pictures in front of it. And it was such a cool experience. I really want to give a shout out to them and the events team. The events team did such a great job. You know, we probably aren't the easiest clients because, you know, we have 30 years of history and 30 years of ideas and 30 years of what's worked and what hasn't. And we kind of brought that to the table a lot, but they really pulled it off. So, you know, thank you everyone for helping put on this conference and everyone who joined.
I wish I actually brought it with me today, but so at the attendee party, so we have the null pointers, and actually, and you are also up there with that, but it's a bunch of Java community luminaries, and they are also capable of singing and playing instruments. I am completely incapable of doing that. It is very painful if I ever attempted to do that.
Well, it sounds like we need to get you up next year then.
No, absolutely not. But we put together like a great looking like band poster of like null pointers for one night only. And like when I saw that, I made sure to grab it before I left. I was like, actually, like that's actually really cool because again, so often corporate conferences is like, oh, you're trying, but like it actually all pulled together for this. So,
well, I just want to say one more thank you. I mean, there's so many thank yous to go around. I'm probably missing someone, but of course, Sharth for working so hard on the conference. He's running around everywhere, making sure that this conference was a hit, and you know his passion just always comes out. And the DevRel team, you Billy, thank you for all your effort. David, I don't know if he's been on camera yet, but he's been behind the studio scenes the whole time. I mean, he's put in such a ton of effort. Nicolai, Anna, everyone, Jose, everyone on the team, Billy, Dennis, Heather, Crystal, Jim. You know, everyone's been doing such a great job. Who did I miss? Did I miss anyone?
I think.
Who did I miss?
I don't know. But
thank you, DevRel.
Yeah, if you don't see us that active on social media or anything for about the next week, it's because we're gonna all be in hibernation after this because we're all pretty exhausted. We've been waking up about 5:30 every day this week and going to bed about 11 or 12. So yeah, we're gonna be sleeping for a bit about this, but
I'll approve a few days off.
Oh, thank you. So any last things or?
No, I mean, I think we said it all. I just we're so excited about the conference. We've been putting a lot of effort into it, and we spent a lot of long nights getting set up for it, and over the years trying to over the last year setting it up. And we've heard nothing but really great things. And I think people aren't just like saying that to make us happy. Like they really trying. The energy is kind of palpable. So we're really excited to keep doing this. It's been a really great event, and I want to thank you all for helping out. And thanks for having me.
Great. Well, I think that's it. So until later, happy coding.